April is flying by. And that means you're running out of time to complete those time-sensitive garden jobs that you have to get done before the end of April. With a lot of these, if you don't do these now, your next opportunity to do these are going to be next year's April. So you're going to lose 12 months of work that you should have done now, and you didn't do it. So you've got less than a week, and I've got 10 last-minute jobs for you. The first one is one that is recommended by the wonderful Monty Don. I'm holding the camera with the other hand, and it's to do with your sweet peas. But I have got a little opportunity with these for you, so you don't have to wait 12 months if you forget to do it now. So, sweet peas, they come in a wide range of flower colours, although when you grow them, they're pretty much just shades of the world's worst flower colour, pink. No! And they're an absolute magnet for mildew, a wonderful fungal infection that can transfer onto many other plants in your garden. But these are a favourite of Monty Don, so let's get into that. Most gardeners will agree that the last chance to plant out some sweet pea seeds is going to be the middle of April. Although Monty says if you do miss that time, you can probably get away with the last week in April. That's probably correct if you live a little bit further north in the country. Not that you'd want to grow them because, like I say, they are a god-awful plant. Now, the thing is with these is that they can be a little bit difficult to germinate. They will need soaking beforehand, and also they can do with a little helping hand by removing a section of the seed coat in order to get the moisture into the germ inside. When you are cutting away a section of the seed coat, never cut what is known as the eye of the seed, because then you'll just damage the seed, it won't grow. So there you go, sweet peas, that's the first one. If you don't get them done now, it's going to be too late to get them to grow and flower and look any good. They will never look any good. Pink. Job number 2 is about preparing your spring flowering bulbs for next year's display, and it's more about not doing something than it does doing something. Now, naturally, as soon as these bulbs have finished flowering, they'll start to die back. So all the leaves, the old flower stem will die back, and the bulb will absorb all of the nutrients, the sugars, the starches, everything back into the bulb, building up that bulb so it's bigger and better for next year, which means you'll get a better flowering display. Now, the problem is at this time of year, many people look at these old bulbs, look at that dying foliage, and either do one or two things. They're going to either cut it back to ground level so they don't have to see it, or they'll do this old gardener trick where they sort of like bend them over and stick a rubber band over it, something weird like that. The problem with doing that, you can often snap the stems or the leaves or break them, and then they can't actually then absorb all the nutrition because it's broken. You can't actually get access to it. So you either leave them in place and put up with it, or once it's on its way to dying back, just lift those bulbs, place them somewhere like inside a large terracotta pot, and just stick it in your greenhouse to help it dry out. And then you can leave them there, really. You can leave them there, plant them back out in August, and that's what you do. So this is a not to do job rather than a to do job. That's kind of the opposite of what we're talking about. It's still worth knowing. Job number 3 is another bulb issue, and it's to do with your tulips, particularly those tulips that you are growing in pots, especially those pots which are porous, such as your lovely terracotta pots, unglazed of course, cement pots or reconstituted stone pots, all pots that are quite porous, which you would use for your tulips. There's no problem with that. But the problem is April. Now, for the last 100 years, April was known for its showers, known as April showers. But for the past couple of years, we've had no rain in April. I don't know what the flip is going on. There's obviously a change in the wind. Now, this means that when your lush, amazing tulips are coming up, and you should have a lot of tulips out now, if there isn't any rain, you will need to make sure they get watered. They will flop if you don't make sure they're watered. So keep an eye on that. If there is no rain, just because they're outside doesn't mean they're going to be fine. You will need to look after them. You will need to give them some water. And that's going to lead on to any pot grown plant you've got growing outside now. You've got winds like today, temperatures are rising. If you've got pot grown plants, it's going to be down to you to water them, especially those pots if you've got them under a rain shadow. So many people put their pots against the side of the house. It's a convenient place to put them, but the trouble is, if you did get rain in April, the eaves of the house are going to block the rain coming down, so they still won't get watered. So April, if you're having a drought, water those pot grown plants, otherwise they'll just die. They will simply die, and it will happen quite quickly. You'll be surprised. This next one is to do with your greenhouse maintenance. Like I say, temperatures are beginning to increase. It's going to get way too hot in there. Firstly, make sure you've got your ventilation, so keep your door open, open up your window. As we move into summer, you might need to put on a like a whitewash in order to reflect some of the heat. It's going to be too hot. But to be really, anything in there that you've been overwintering, it's time to get these out now before it gets too hot. Because they've been growing under glass all this time, the leaves are going to be very soft, which means they're going to be prone to sun scorch if you put them out into direct sun. So you need to get them out now. You need to get them hardened off to outside conditions so they don't become scorched. That means start them off somewhere in this shade, give them a little bit more light day on, for about 7 to 10 days. Then they can go wherever you want to put them, and then get this thing cleaned and sterilized. Wipe down all the windows, sterilize the soil. If you're going to be planting any sort of vegetables in there, such as your tomatoes, I know it's a fruit, tomatoes, your peppers, whatever, then dig in a load of farm manure if you've got a soil base to your greenhouse. So greenhouse preparation, perfect timing. Well, this one is a last minute job for April from the wonderful Alan Titchmarsh. I'm still holding the camera with the other hand. He recommends at this time of year to go to your supermarket, go to your garden centre, purchase yourself some lovely lilies. I absolutely love lilies. One of my favourites is Concha d'Or. We grow it every year. Well, it's the same plant. Absolutely beautiful plant. We've got a lot more. Plant them now. Get them in pots, water them, get them growing. You have some wonderful flowers and also that gorgeous scent. Try not to get pollen on you because it can stain your clothing. Just be aware that when you're purchasing these, just check the bulbs first, check a few bags, buy the biggest one you can. Also make sure there's no softness going on because that could indicate a fungal infection or rotting. So there you go, lilies now, and then really it's going to be a bit too late because the longer they're in the shops, the more they dry out. And if you plant out dried up lily bulbs, you've just wasted your time because they're not going to do anything. Get a bit of leaf, that's it. Maybe a flower, but that's it. And that leads me quite nicely on to this next job to do, and it's to do with your tubers. Your summer flowering tubers like your dahlias, like your canna lilies, simply because we've gone past that kind of time period where, because the ground's been so cold, you'd have purchased them, you would have potted them on and put them in the greenhouse to keep them out the cold, because these plants don't like cold, wet conditions. But now in April, the weather's warming up, the soil is warming up. So really by the end of April, you can start planting these tubers directly outside where you're going to plant them. Make sure you've got somewhere in full sun. Make sure you've got somewhere that's quite free draining, although your cannas will need a bit more watering. It's a fine timeline because you don't want to put them in too late because they'll never grow enough to start flowering. But you don't want to get them in too early because they won't grow because it's too cold. So you've got this week now, which is perfect time. Again, check the packets before you buy them. Try and buy the biggest bit of root. Make sure there's no softness that could indicate a fungal infection. So absolutely love these plants, and they will flower literally throughout the summer. If you keep on the deadheading with these plants, they'll just keep on flowering. Wonderful plants, really good value, and it's probably the cheapest time to purchase these as the pre-packs, because the pre-pack time is going to end soon, and then you'll be buying established pot grown plants, and believe me, you'll be looking at 4 to 5 times the price. So not only am I giving you excellent advice, I'm literally saving you a ton of money. Hooray! Right, so we are pretty much halfway through, so it's a good time to mention, don't forget to check the job number 10, because that's all about the time sensitive pruning on certain plants, and you really will miss out if you don't get these ones sorted. But also I have a call to action. We are just about to reach, oh you little, 25,000 subscribers. Hallelujah! And when we hit 25,000 subscribers, Lorna and I, my lovely wife, will do a question and answer video. So in order to get the 25,000 subscribers, you need to subscribe. So if you haven't subscribed, subscribe now. It's absolutely free, and then at least you'll be sent new videos as they come. So it's a good thing, in my opinion. And put in a question for us. It could be about gardening, horticulture, it could just be about us, or the travels and gardens we've been to. So get on it, subscribe, question, done. Let's get on with the next job that you don't want to avoid in April. Herbaceous plants. Look, you can see they are starting to emerge. And if you don't get on it, they're going to be too big to start putting in supports, and that's important. If you don't put your herbaceous plant supports in place, especially for the really tall plants like your lupins, your delphiniums, your foxgloves, your hollyhocks, then quite often they'll be too big for you to put them in anyway, especially things like your peony that we saw just earlier. You need to be quite time sensitive on this, and you want to get them in early because you can get them then quite close to the plants so that the plants can grow around supports, so you're not seeing some horrible ugly supports. If you forget to put in your supports, you get a strong windy day like today, there's a good chance the flowering spikes will snap. You've ruined your display. Now some of these plants, such as your delphiniums, they do have a snapped flowering stem. They can put up a new one, but it will never be as good. So it's a singular opportunity. Put the supports in before the plants get too big. Do it now, or if you haven't done it yet, at least have all this stuff here in the garden so you can put it in place now. So it is important. It's one of those jobs that people seem to delay a bit on, but really these should already have been put in place. So if you haven't done it, you've got to get it done now. This next one is lawns. Yes, your lawns are ready to be regularly cut now if you haven't done so already. A cut once a fortnight, or if you've got a particularly fast growing lawn in excellent conditions, you could be cutting this every single week now, though I won't, it'll always be once a fortnight. Now, some of you are going to be saying, yeah, Simon, we're nearly in May, and don't forget, it's Mow May coming up. Nobody really talks like that, but don't you worry, I've got plenty to say about Mow May, and it'll be on one of our coming up videos. I hate the idea of Mow May. The idea is retarded. I'm not saying the people are retarded, the idea. It's a different thing. The idea is retarded, the people are perfectly fine. Retarded. Rhododendrons and azaleas. Now, they are probably coming to an end of flowering now, depending on the cultivar, or they've finished. And there's one thing that you really want to do if the plants aren't too big. With your rhododendrons, you want to deadhead the old blooms. They will snap off quite nicely. It's quite easy to do. And this does two things. Firstly, it stops the plant from diverting energy into producing these seed heads and the seeds inside, which means it'll have more energy within itself to do a better display for next year. And secondly, rhododendrons can be quite sensitive to infections. And if you've got all the old flower heads just left on your plant, especially in this country where it will keep raining, although not in April anymore, apparently. You get an increased risk of fungal infections getting into the old flower heads. The flower heads will eventually fall on the floor. Then come next spring, they'll be bounced up. The fungal spores will be bounced up in the rain and be all over your plant. And you can get these horrible fungal infections on your rhododendrons and azaleas. So that's one thing. It's also going to quite nicely lead me to the next one, because if you've got quite large plants, then we want to talk about pruning of these things. With rhododendrons, azaleas and camellias, they start to produce next year's flower buds now on this new growth. So once it's finished flowering, you'll see it's got new growth coming through. On that new growth will be next year's flower buds. So if you want to prune these, you've got to prune these now also. You don't want the plants to start developing these embryonic buds and then a couple of months later you decide now's the time to cut your plant, make it look tidy, because you'd be removing all of those flower buds and you've got little chance of your plant producing new flower buds for your spring display. So you're destroying next year's display, so don't do it. So now is the only time for camellias, for rhododendrons, for azaleas, especially if these are big specimens and you're not actually able to hand pick off all the buds. You might need to use a hedge cutter or some such thing, but really the hand bud thing is the best idea. So that's that issue with rhododendrons and azaleas, and I'm going to talk to you about the sensitive pruning cuts for certain plants. We did just mention about the camellias, so I'm not going to mention it in this next bit because we've just covered it. So we are at our job, last minute job number 10, and it's to do with pruning certain shrubs. We're talking about those shrubs that flower on last year's wood. So spring flowering plants that flower on the growth from last year. So when they finish flowering now, and many of them would do, you would cut them back now. Then for the rest of the season, it will grow new growth, and it's on that new growth you'll get your flowers come the next spring. We're talking about all of your group 1 clematis. These are your early flowering clematis. There'll be things like your Clematis alpina, which is that lovely blue thing. We're talking about the Balearic Clematis, which is your Clematis cirrhosis. We're talking about Cartmanii. Really like that one. That's a beautiful plant, really strong flowering. I'm going to include Armandii, although that is a bit of a monster, so if you're going to plant it, make sure you've got plenty of space for it, and even more so for your Montanas. Now these they haven't finished flowering, they'll be finished flowering soon. All of those, give them a good hard cut back now. You'll go send out new growth, and that's what we're full of flowers next year. It's going to be the same for plants like your ribes, your ornamental flowering currant. Now with these, you really cut these quite hard. You cut them right down to about 9 inches, 12 inches, and then that will bounce back up with new growth. Plenty of flowers on that next year. The same is for your Forsythias, exactly the same. They flower on new growth. Cut them back to 9 to 12 inches. All that new growth will have flowers on the following year. And also Exorder, Marcantha, the bride, that should be finished flowering now. Flowers on last year's wood. Cut that back, let it bounce back. And there you go. Those are my 10 last minute jobs that you need to get done in April. There are going to be many others, and you're more than welcome to put those in the comments. We would genuinely love to hear from you. Don't forget, click like, click subscribe, so that when we hit 25,000 subscribers we can do our question and answer video. So put in your questions, otherwise I'll make them up myself and pretend they're someone else's. Put your questions into the comments, we'll take a note of them and we'll discuss them all later. Thank you very much for watching, and goodbye.